used to think I was too old to care about what I wore. After turning 60, I started choosing clothes just for comfort. Something easy to wear, easy to wash, something that covered my belly and kept me warm. That was it. I stopped looking in the mirror to try things on. I no longer felt joy picking out a scarf or a new pair of earrings. Until one crisp autumn afternoon last year, when I met Jean, a woman who made me see myself differently. It was during a walk through the old quarter of Charleston with my daughter. The air was cool, the sunlight danced gently through the ivy-covered balconies. We stopped at a small cafe. That's where Jean entered, light as a breeze. She was probably in her 70s, but you wouldn't focus on her age. Everything about her drew attention for other reasons. She wore a knee-length beige dress, a fitted olive cardigan, cream loafers. Her silver hair was cut neatly short, and she wore minimal makeup. But what truly caught me was her presence. Elegant without trying, radiant without effort. I still remember my daughter's eyes as Jean passed our table. She leaned over and whispered, "Did you see her? She's beautiful. I think she's older than you, Mom." I smiled, but inside I felt something stir. I had thought fashion after 60 was a luxury, that only the young needed to look good. But Jean taught me something else. True beauty doesn't disappear with age, it simply changes form. And sometimes by choosing the wrong piece of clothing, we accidentally make ourselves look more tired and older than we truly are. After that day, I started watching myself and the women around me, at the store, at church, at senior book clubs. I began to notice certain fashion mistakes many elegant women over 60 were making. Not because they didn't care, but because they'd simply grown used to wearing the same old things, or they thought, at this age anything will do. I used to think the same, until I realized I deserved to feel beautiful, not for compliments, but for the quiet joy of looking in the mirror and thinking, today I still look like the woman I want to be, graceful, full of life, and worthy of love. The truth is, everything starts with small choices. A blouse that's too baggy, shoes that drag us down, a hairstyle that no longer fits who we are. These little things added together slowly dim our light, but we can change that, gently, without spending too much, without throwing away everything. Just a few thoughtful adjustments, simple but powerful. And today I want to share them with you, like a soft conversation between women who've lived enough, lost enough, and loved enough to know that beauty never leaves, just needs to be invited back. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt older than you are? Bought something just because it hid your belly, only to realize it made you look ill? Wanted to try something new but said to yourself, there's no point at my age? If you have, you're not alone. I've been there too. But today I believe we can shift that story, with small loving steps, with real life examples, and with one gentle truth: you deserve to feel beautiful, no matter your age. In this video, I'll share 10 common fashion mistakes that many elegant women over 60 still make, and more importantly, how to fix them instantly, without losing your true self. Because growing older isn't about fading away. It's about learning how to shine in a way that's softer, deeper, and completely your own. The first mistake I realized I was making came from something I thought was helping me: wearing oversized clothes. For years, I believed that loose meant elegant, that hiding my waist or arms somehow made me look slimmer, softer, more graceful. But the truth was, it only made me look heavier and, frankly, a little lost inside my own outfit. I'll never forget the day my friend Elaine told me gently, "You know, that sweater swallows you." First, I felt defensive. I thought she was criticizing me. But then she added, "You're too beautiful to disappear under fabric." It wasn't until I saw a photo of myself at a family gathering that I understood what she meant. The cardigan I had picked, a pale, droopy thing, hung past my hips and drowned my shape. Instead of looking comfortable, I looked tired. Instead of effortless, I looked like I had given up. It's a hard truth, isn't it? That sometimes the very thing we choose to make ourselves feel safe ends up hiding the very parts of us that still shine. That night, I stood in front of the mirror and tried something I hadn't done in years. I put on a more fitted jacket. It didn't cling. It simply followed the shape of my shoulders, gave me a waist again, and made me feel visible. That's the fix. Not tight, not trendy, just well-fitted. Clothes that respect your shape without trying to change it. A tailored blouse, a structured jacket, even a cardigan that hits just right at the hips. And if you're worried about comfort, I get it. But soft doesn't have to mean shapeless. There are beautiful fabrics now, stretchy knits, jersey blends, that feel like pajamas but look like Paris. Another mistake I made? Choosing the wrong neckline. There was a time when I defaulted to high necks and turtlenecks, thinking they'd cover the lines on my neck. But I noticed that these cuts made me look stiff and older. Then one day at a boutique, a stylist handed me a V-neck top. I hesitated, but I tried it on, and to my surprise it opened up my face. My collarbones framed the neckline. I looked fresher, almost lifted. You see, after 60, our face and neck need a little space to breathe. A softly scooped neckline or gentle V can do wonders. It draws attention upward and makes your smile the center of attention. So here's what I want to say. Don't be afraid of shape. Don't be afraid of softness. And please don't disappear behind your clothes. You're still here. You still matter. And the world deserves to see you, clearly, fully, beautifully. I used to believe that fashion was for other people, younger people, stylish people. But now I know. It's for anyone who still wants to feel like herself. And that includes you. One afternoon, I was visiting my friend Margaret. She's 74 and always had the most lovely sense of style, until recently. She greeted me at the door wearing a pale gray tunic, matching pants, and a pair of white orthopedic sneakers. I smiled, but something felt muted. She looked comfortable, yes, but not like herself. Over tea, I gently asked, "Do you still wear those red flats you loved?" She laughed. "Oh, those? I felt silly wearing color at my age." And that, right there, is the third mistake many women over 60 make, being afraid of color. It's such a quiet shift. We start reaching for safe tones. Beige, gray, navy, black. And before we know it, our wardrobe becomes a soft blur of the same few neutrals. Now there's nothing wrong with neutrals. But when color disappears, so does a little spark. Think about it. How many women have you seen whose energy changed completely just by adding a coral scarf or a lavender blouse? Margaret and I decided to go shopping that weekend. Nothing fancy, just a little boutique downtown. She tried on a soft green cardigan, and when she looked in the mirror, her eyes lit up. "I haven't seen this version of me in a long time," she whispered. Color is not loudness. It's not rebellion. It's life. The fix? Start small. A rose-toned lipstick. A pair of earrings with a bit of turquoise. A floral print scarf. Or even just a blush-colored blouse that makes your cheeks glow. Let color gently return to your life, and let it reflect your warmth. The fourth mistake is something I personally struggled with, clinging to outdated silhouettes. For the longest time, I held on to shoulder pads, long boxy jackets, and old pencil skirts I hadn't worn in years. There was a strange comfort in them, like they reminded me of who I was in my 40s, but every time I put them on, they felt more like a costume than an outfit. I finally let go after a quiet afternoon with my granddaughter. She was helping me clean out my closet and asked, "Grandma, do you still feel like you in this?" I looked at the stiff blazer in my hand, and I realized I didn't. I had changed. My life had changed, and my clothes needed to meet me where I was now. So I started experimenting. Softer fabrics, flowy shapes that moved with me, pants that fit my waist today, not the one I had 20 years ago. And that's the lesson. Don't dress for your past. Dress for your present self. She's just as worthy. In fact, she might be wiser, bolder, more beautiful than ever before. Now let me share one more story. There's a woman in my neighborhood named Lucia. She's 82 and walks every morning with the most graceful posture you've ever seen. One day, I stopped her to say hello and noticed something. Her shoes. Elegant, low-heeled, and perfectly matched to her coat. She told me, "Darling, I believe shoes speak before I do." And that's the fifth mistake many women make. Forgetting their shoes. We focus on tops and dresses, but we forget that shoes anchor the whole look. Worn-out soles, heavy orthopedic styles, or clunky sneakers, even if comfortable, can age your appearance in an instant. Now, I'm not suggesting stilettos, but there are so many comfortable, supportive shoes today that are also elegant. Soft loafers, stylish walking shoes, ballet flats with memory foam, a beautiful ankle boot that makes your step feel grounded, not heavy. Lucia said it best, "Your shoes should carry you with dignity." And I've never forgotten that. So if you're listening to this and thinking, "But it's too late," My style is already set. I want to pause and say it's never too late. You're not a finished painting. You're a work in motion. And style isn't about following trends. It's about finding pieces that let your spirit breathe. Sometimes all it takes is one small change. A better neckline, a softer color, a pair of shoes that make you stand taller. And slowly, gently, you begin to feel more like yourself again. I met Diane on a rainy Tuesday morning. She was sitting by herself at our local library, flipping through an old copy of Harper's Bazaar. What caught my eye wasn't the magazine, it was the brooch on her coat, a large glittery flower pinned near her collarbone, sparkling under the dim reading light. We started chatting. She was warm, funny, and full of life, but something about her outfit felt off. Her earrings were oversized gold hoops, and the necklace she wore clashed with the brooch. There was too much going on. Her style wasn't loud exactly. It just didn't feel like it matched the soft wisdom in her voice. That's the sixth mistake I see many elegant women over 60 make. Wearing accessories that overwhelm instead of elevate. I completely understand why it happens. For years we've been told to dress up with jewelry. That more is more. That a statement necklace and bold earrings show confidence. But as we age, our beauty becomes more delicate, more nuanced. And sometimes, heavy or flashy accessories can drown out that softness. I once read that accessories should whisper instead of shout. A single pearl stud, a delicate chain, a silk scarf in a flattering hue. These little touches don't just decorate us, they frame our stories. So the next time you reach for jewelry, pause and ask, is this adding to me, or taking the attention away from me? Because truly, you are the main character, not the necklace. A week after our conversation, Diane returned to the library. This time, she wore a soft blue blouse with small silver earrings and no brooch. She looked radiant. Not because she wore less, but because what she wore finally let her shine through. Another thing I began to notice was how length can either flatter or weigh us down. One afternoon, I went to a senior art show. Beautiful paintings, soft music, and a crowd of women dressed in long skirts and flowy dresses. One woman in particular stood out, but not in the way she intended. She wore a dark brown maxi dress that nearly touched the floor. It had no shape, and it dragged behind her slightly as she walked. Her posture was upright, her face lovely, but her outfit made her seem shorter, heavier, almost like she was hiding from something. And I remembered I used to do that too. Long skirts, heavy layers, thinking they were elegant. But what I didn't realize was how much they distorted my proportions. They didn't flatter. They overwhelmed. That's the seventh mistake. Wearing lengths that swallow your frame. The fix? Don't go too short, but find your right length. Just below the knee. Mid-calf with a slight slit. Dresses that follow your line instead of erasing it. And pair them with shoes that lift, physically and emotionally. After I discovered my ideal hemline, something funny happened. I walked differently, lighter, more confident, like my clothes were finally walking with me, not dragging me down. Now let's talk about one of the trickiest things, black. Black has always been considered the go-to color for elegance. It's timeless, chic, slimming, but after 60 it's also often unforgiving. I once wore an all-black outfit to a winter brunch. Black turtleneck, black coat, black pants. I thought I looked sharp, but when I walked past a store window and caught my reflection, I barely recognized myself. My face looked pale. My eyes looked tired. The contrast was too harsh. And that's the eighth mistake, relying too heavily on black. It's not that you should stop wearing it entirely. It's about balance. Pairing it with soft colors near the face. Adding a scarf. Choosing charcoal or navy instead. Finding textures that soften the effect. After that brunch, I began adding warm neutrals, camel rose cream, and the compliments came. Not because I looked younger, but because I looked brighter. Black doesn't have to go away forever. But don't let it dim your light. There's one more thing I want to mention. Something that surprised me more than all the rest. It's what I call dressing in memory. That sweater your partner gave you years ago. The dress you wore to your daughter's wedding. The jacket that reminds you of your mother. These clothes carry so much emotion. But sometimes we keep wearing them long after they serve us out of habit, nostalgia, or guilt. I had a shawl my late husband gave me. It was beautiful once, soft burgundy wool. But over time it faded, frayed, and yet I couldn't let it go. I wore it for comfort, for memory, until one day I realized I was carrying grief on my shoulders. So I folded it gently, placed it in a special box, and allowed myself to move forward. I bought a new scarf in a similar color. It felt like I was honoring him but also honoring me. And that's the 9th mistake, wearing the past instead of dressing for today. Memories don't fade when we let go of a garment. They live in us. And we deserve to dress for the life we're still living. So whether it's a scarf, a skirt, or a pair of shoes, ask yourself, is this still me? Or just who I used to be? Because you, my dear, are still becoming, still shining, and still so very worthy of dressing in a way that reflects the woman you are now. There's one final mistake I want to talk about. And to be honest, it's the one I've personally struggled with the most. It's not about fabric or color or length. It's about hiding. Not physically, but emotionally. About telling ourselves, no one's looking at me anymore. About saying, what's the point of dressing up? I'm just going to the grocery store. Or worse, I'm too old to be seen. That's the 10th and most common mistake. Believing you're no longer worth dressing for. I remember a rainy Sunday when I ran to the corner market in my oversized sweatshirt and loose pants. No earrings, no lipstick, not even a comb through my hair. I had convinced myself it didn't matter, that no one would care, that I didn't have anyone to impress. But as I reached for a carton of eggs, I caught sight of myself in the freezer door reflection, and something in me paused. It wasn't judgment. It wasn't shame. It was sadness, because deep down I knew I wasn't dressing for comfort. I was dressing to disappear. I left the store quietly and went home. That evening I didn't do anything grand. I just put on a soft blouse I hadn't worn in months, brushed my hair, dabbed on a little lip color, lit a candle, sat down with a cup of tea and whispered to myself, I'm still here, and I still matter. That moment changed everything. Because dressing isn't just about being seen by others. It's about being seen by yourself. It's about standing in front of the mirror and saying, I'm worthy of care. It's about reminding your reflection, you still have stories to tell. It's about wearing something beautiful, not to be validated, but to feel alive. So if you've been dressing to hide, please hear me when I say, you don't need a reason to look lovely. You are the reason. You're still breathing, still learning, still laughing, still dancing in your own quiet ways. And that deserves celebration. Maybe today you start small. A pair of earrings you haven't worn in a while. A scarf in your favorite color. A top that fits just right and feels like home. Let your style reflect the woman you've become. Not a woman clinging to the past, but one standing gracefully in the present. Because elegance isn't about age. It's about intention. It's in the way you hold your cup of tea. The way you walk into a room even if no one's watching. The way you choose yourself softly each and every day. So here's what I've learned after 60. Fashion doesn't end with age. Beauty doesn't fade, it shifts. And the woman you are right now is just as deserving of color, confidence, and joy as she's ever been. You are not invisible. You are not done becoming. You are not too late. You're simply entering a season where style means something deeper. Where what you wear tells the world, I still belong here. And I still love being me. And you know what? That's more beautiful than anything hanging on a store rack. So today, when you open your closet, don't just reach for what's easy. Reach for what makes you feel like you. Because even if no one else sees you, you will. And that is more than enough.